All right. Well, good afternoon and welcome to today's version of Glad You Asked. I'm Tiffany.
Hey, Tiffany.
Hey, Teresa. That's Teresa. And we have a couple of really interesting topics for you all today. So I want to say hi to those who have joined us so far. Hi, Beth. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Beth and Judy.
Good to see you. Hi, Zoom user.
Whoever you are.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's Ruth.
Yeah.
Hi, Ruth.
Hi, Ruth. Good to see you all. And I'm sure we'll have a few more joining as we are getting started. So as we usually do, before we jump into the topics for today, a couple of just reminders for you all. So if you are a member of the Alamance MLS, we want to make sure that you guys know that they now have coming soon and office exclusive forms. Hey. And so make sure if you are a MLS member that you use their new coming soon and office exclusive forms. They are in play right now as of last month?
Yeah, you're right at the end of last year. They came up with new forms. Yep.
All right.
And they can be found right there under the form section when you log into AMLS.
All right. Okay. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that and you begin using those. You all have been doing a great job with the coming soon forms for Triad and Triangle. All right. And it's the same process. If you do need to use them, please have your clients sign the forms, make sure they're fully signed first, and then send them to the broker in charge 832 at gmail.com for the broker in charge signature for those forms. All right. The other reminder is make sure that you are providing your clients with copies of documents. Remember, the Real Estate Commission rule is that they must receive a copy of anything that they sign within 3 days, and that's 3 calendar days. We've had some issues pop up recently where documentation was not provided. Although a lot of you guys are using DocuSign and other electronic means, and that will automatically notify them once they have the signatures. But if you're not using DocuSign, Loop, or some other electronic form, make sure you get those copies to your clients within that 3-day period. All right. And don't forget to get them to us, put them in command within those 3 days as well. 2 actually is our policy, within 2 days in your command file.
Yep.
All right. All right. So we are coming off of an exciting time for KW. Has anyone here, or did anyone in here attend family reunion? Did anyone here have any? Okay, I see a couple of hands. All right. And what was your biggest takeaway? We want to hear from you all. What was your aha moment from family reunion this year?
Give us some nuggets. Amy, I saw your hand. You got some nuggets there, Amy.
I don't know. There's so much. I haven't gone through my notes. But it was really, a lot of it was just about sphere again. And just got some ideas what other people are doing to connect with their sphere. Emily's, said that don't hire out of desperation. So it was about hiring and leverage, a lot of it.
Okay.
It was amazing. I highly recommend it to anybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. Yes. I saw you back there, Emily. Do you have anything else to share or to add?
Yeah, so I went to all of the solo with admin classes because I want to hire. So it's really neat to see people from different parts of the US, different stages in their business, different types of business. But all of them had a lot in common. I went to one that was sphere-based business. So a lot of nuggets from that and different events to do. And so my goal coming back here is to have a VIP, so about 10 VIP clients, to do special things for them. Random mail, random gift cards, random event, I wouldn't say random events, but planned events for them, and families. So yeah, I got a whole list of stuff I want to do for my people.
I like that, Emily. I like
Yeah.
the VIP, having the 10 VIPs. Love that. Love that.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who else has family reunion nuggets or takeaways, something that stood out to you, something that you're excited about implementing, something you learned?
And even if you didn't attend in person, if you experienced it digitally, do you have anything to share?
All right. Well, I just wanted to give you guys a chance. Oh, Judy.
So I like the idea of offering $100 donation back to the community per
Yes.
transaction. You know, it's not that much money for us, and it's another bit of value added that can differentiate us from the next agent out there. I thought that was a good idea.
That's a good one, Judy. That's
Yeah.
really good. And like you said, that's not a lot of money, but if you do it per transaction, it can add up for the to be a lot for the community or a charity or something. That's good.
Yeah, and it gives you something to use to promote as part of your own brand and your own promotion.
I love
Mhm.
it. I
Yeah.
love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Coming from contribution, that's a
Yep.
KW spirit, right?
Yep.
And so, yeah, thank you for sharing that thought, that idea. And I'll tell you that we got some feedback from Jonathan from the tech side. We're so excited. He was really excited about the things that he learned on the MCTT and the regional tech training events that he attended, and he's got some really great stuff coming for us, you guys. So make sure if you're not attending the tech trainings that you begin to do so, because he has some really great focused specific items that he's going to be working on based on family reunion. And of course, you know, it's back to the basics, your contacts, your database management, cleaning it up, clearing it up, and then being open to learning new technology, people, because KW has some really great and very easy to use resources to help you to stay in contact with your database. And so just teaching you about that, how to use the tech, how to be open to learning it, it really is not as difficult as you might think. And so he's going to be working and strategically focused on the things that he learned in family reunion and just pouring that out to all of you guys. And so I'm really excited about what he's working on and has in store. And you should start seeing these changes in next week's tech training. So be on the lookout for that from Jonathan.
Well, that's what KW says, right? KWRI says we are a technology company that does real estate. And I'm glad they have that mindset. We're a technology company that happens to do real estate. How about that? All right.
Yeah.
Very good. What's next?
All right. So next we have we are going to cover two of the items on our 43 policies and procedures. We're going to just cover two of those with you all. The first one being conflict resolution. Now, while we want you to develop conflict resolution across the board, especially with potentially clients, if you run into a conflict situation, we also want you all to be able to have an effective conflict resolution for agent to agent as well, and within the market center. We've got hundreds of agents in this market center, and you may run into a conflict here or there. And so we want to just review that conflict resolution policy and procedure with you. All right. And so did you want to introduce that before I read it to them?
I'm going to let you do it because somebody's having technical difficulty getting in. So let me share with them how to get in.
All right. Well, somebody's trying to get in. And thank you all who have joined us, by the way. So conflict resolution, when a conflict arises in a transaction, agent to client, agent to agent, You should contact your broker in charge for assistance if it's with a client. So make sure if there's any conflict, because potentially there may need to be something where we would have to notify E&O. Don't forget that. So if you have a conflict situation with a client, make sure to notify and bring the broker in charge in it. If a conflict arises between agents, we ask you to remember our Keller Williams belief system, the WI4C2TES. Okay. And it's probably been a while since you've probably even heard of or thought about that. So we just wanted to refresh that for you. Don't forget, for KW, we want win-win or no deal. Integrity, do the right thing. Customers always come first. Commitment in all things. Communication, especially that one. Seek first to understand. So before you get upset with another agent, really take a moment to cool your guns, if you will, and seek to understand what it is that's happening, what's really going on in that situation. Creativity, ideas before results. Teamwork, together everyone achieves more. Trust starts with honesty. Equity, opportunities for all. And success results through people. All right. So don't forget to utilize some patience, some grace, and especially make sure that make sure that you are seeking to understand. I see something from Jen, no meeting in the Denny's park in the parking lot at 3 a.m. to throw. You know, Jen, we don't want that to be your first attempt at resolution there. You know, if it comes to that, call us first, please. Right. Okay. So,
and especially you have to be, well, you would have to be intentional, Jen, because there's not a close Denny's. I mean, you know, there is one, but they actually have to get to a Denny's, right?
That's what you had to contribute. Isn't there really? Like, no, I'm just kidding. There's one off the highway. We'll figure it out. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So hopefully we will learn opportunities to resolve conflict without having to go to Denny's, right? Okay, so the goal is to remain in culture with our fellow associates and others. Seek the staff leadership and guidance when conflicts arise if you're not able to resolve them on your own first, okay? So we want you to try to resolve it first, but if you can't, if there is an ongoing issue, then seek guidance from your staff and your leadership, okay? And just a couple of reminders about how to resolve conflicts. The first thing is to really take a moment to define the problem. Then number 2, come together and communicate. Allow the other party to be heard and understood without interruptions, and then request and require the same for your own communication as well. Number 3, establish relationships. Build open, honest communication through respect. Give someone the respect that you want to receive in return. Number 4, develop an action plan. So don't just have a conversation. Come up with actionable items that you are going to clearly identify next steps to perform and a target date to perform those steps by. Number 5, get commitment once you have mutual agreement, and make sure that you follow through on those commitment items. And then last but not least, number 6, provide feedback. Establish a follow-up meeting where both parties will get back together and measure the results of whatever was agreed upon to assist with that conflict resolution. So we just wanted to, it's the beginning of the year. It's about to be a very busy real estate season again. It's a high stress time. There's so much competition out there just to try to get listings and business. And so it's a good time to remind you about conflict resolution, both between agents and with your clients in preparation for these busy times that are coming up. Any questions about that policy? It's number 11 in the policies and procedures. Don't forget, those are on the white pages for our Burlington Market Center. Any questions, concerns, conflicts? And hopefully that will help you avoid elbows in the Denny's parking lot, right? Okay. All right. The other policy that we want to highlight today is policy number 31. And this one is on personal transactions. So we've had some questions coming up here lately about selling your own property or personal transactions. And so we just wanted to highlight that policy for you today. And it's pretty short. Per KWRI, each agent is allowed 2 property transactions which the agent has ownership interest in annually, for which the company will not collect company dollar, only the royalty. So there you can have 2 transactions per year where you are an owner, where there won't be any company dollar split. There will only be the royalties for it. The file still has to be uploaded in command for compliance, and a transaction fee will still apply just as on any other transaction. Agents are not permitted to sell their homes for sale by owner. So that's one that's really important. You do have to sell it through the firm, but you're allowed 2 transactions per year without company dollar. Any question? Oh, did you?
And something to add to that, when you do sell your own property, of course, on the listing side, you want to make sure that you're using all of the standard forms. That's an E&O requirement. It has to be on the North Carolina standard form. So it has to have the WWREA. You have to have the listing agreement. So you have to have all of the standard forms in order for E&O to cover it. And you definitely want to make sure you have E&O coverage, especially when it comes to your own personal property, in case an issue arises. So make sure that you do the exact same thing for yours, for your own, as you would for anyone else's.
All right. Any questions about that?
Let me check the comment.
I see something in this.
Awesome. Yeah, try to watch. She's okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Tara.
All right. And so the next thing that we're going to talk about, so we have quite a few more of you who have joined since the very beginning. Anyone else have any ahas, any takeaways from family reunion that you want to share before we jump into today's topic? We want to give you a chance. It was an exciting time. Want to give you a chance to bring some things up if you like.
This is Cindy. Can I talk?
Sure.
Yes.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, I'm in the car. So
Okay.
I'm
Be
driving
careful.
to listen. Oh, no problem. I'm on my Bluetooth, but you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. So family reunion, it was my 15th. It was by far the most loving, culture-driven one I've ever been to. It was amazing. I'm part of the Pivot Shift community that started 2 years ago. Saw that in live, saw a lot of people there. But the biggest thing that I took away from this was about career visioning. Was when you're trying to build a team, or if you even have a team and you have someone on your team, to go back and go through the motivational interview. So the KPA process, someone takes it and then you validate everything, and you go through who they are, and then they say yes or no, or 1 through 10, and then you do the life story in the motivational interview. And that can change as you have people on your team over the years. So for me, that was a big aha, like, has my motivation changed too?
Wow.
So career visioning, you can do it on Zoom, and you can also go to person. So Gary Keller, it really was on everyone to make sure that they had KPA'd. And that might be even if you're a team. I mean, if you have a spouse, you might like, who works best? I mean, you just have to go through everything. And after the last 2 years, maybe motivation has changed for some people.
Right.
So that was huge, as well as just being more intentional. You always go to these conferences and have all these things, but what are the one thing you're going to implement, right? So that's where the takeaway is. And so we've already been doing a lot of customer experiences, and because Emily's got it to the next level. But now about the database, I need to keep my top 50 to 100 at all times at the top of the level. And so
Mhm.
that's what we're really going to focus on. One lady I talked to said she went through her database and narrowed it down to the top 500, and she's just loving on all of them. I thought that was very interesting too. So,
Right.
you know, 'cause it is about our people. It's not just about the past client, it's future client, it's everything. So that's all I wanted to say. Just, it was an amazing family union.
Wow.
It really was. It was, I mean, you can't feel the love. I don't know if y'all felt it, if you did it digitally. I don't know if anybody else is on here that went in person, because there weren't that many agents from our market center that went. It was mostly staff that went. So they were doing leadership stuff where we were doing breakouts.
Right.
Mhm.
So Robbie, I did not see Robbie's in person. Emily went to his. I heard he did a great job. I was doing other wealth building and other different paths. So,
Okay.
and I also want to say, if you don't have to have a coach, if you don't have a coach, you should really look into coaching. That's all I'm going to say.
Gotcha.
For max coaching, I didn't have to pay for family union.
Right, exactly, because you're in the program.
Max
That's
coaching.
right.
Yeah, I'm in the mastery program. Yeah, but I know that Amy Klutz and Emily have both joined, and I think I saw Amy on here. I hope she would speak. So
Yeah.
throw it down.
She did.
Yeah,
She had
spoke
some
earlier.
words. Yeah, earlier.
Oh, she did before I got on.
She
Yeah.
did. She did. Thank you for
And
sharing
Emily.
that, Cindy.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Cindy, for that. And oh, Natalie's raising her
Oh.
hand. She wants to share. Hi, Natalie.
I don't have a share. I actually have a question.
Okay.
So recently I have a friend that does a lot of flipping, and then she winds up selling her own properties. And she said that an agent that she knew from her previous brokerage firm sent her an email saying, you cannot have on your disclosures no representation if you are selling your own property. However, she had never lived in the property and was just redecorating it. So in that moment, when we start talking about agents selling their own properties, I would really love to know from the geniuses before me. That's you two, by the way. Stop looking back. Stop it. Stop it. Stop
Like,
it. What is the exact rule? Because if a builder, if like Open Door can be no representation, but an agent can't do no representation, that sounds like a whole mess to me.
Okay.
All right.
So, go ahead.
You want to talk on that? I'm pulling it up.
Well, thank you for asking that question, Natalie. One thing, as you were just speaking there, you talked about Open Door. So couple things there, that needs some clarification. You brought up the friend of yours who is now selling her own property. So my assumption is that she's selling as an individual as opposed to an entity. So there's going to be some, that would be my first question. Is this investor that's selling the property an entity owner, or are they an individual owner?
Individual.
Okay. So then there's this thing of having a license, right? So Tiffany's pulling out the big guns here. She's pulling out the big guns, and we're going to actual license law and commissions rules. She's going to the heavy artillery. So you'll get some good answers right here, Natalie.
Yeah. So Natalie, all I was going to say, when it comes to real estate licensees, we are held to a higher standard.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to go and just get a refresher, it's on the Real Estate Commission's website. You can just do a quick search for commission rules.
Mm-hmm.
But real estate brokers are held to a higher standard. Mm-hmm. So you are required to do disclosures that a regular non-broker owner or seller does not have to do. And so there's not the option of no representation if you know about the status of something that's going on in the house.
Mhm.
So that is actually a true statement that she was told if she is a licensee. When it comes to Open Door and these other companies, they are typically not licensees, and or the agent is, but not the owner of the property.
Mhm.
And that's the loophole there. And
Mhm.
so remember, the requirement is that sellers don't have to disclose anything, but agents have to disclose everything.
Mhm.
And so you're held to the agent standard, even if you're the seller.
Mhm. Because you're licensed.
Yeah. Okay. And so, and just so again, for reference, if you want to go and just get a quick refresher, just make sure you go to the commission's website, and in the search box, you can put license law and rules comments. And then you can just get that review and refresher on the things that we as agents are bound to,
Mhm.
that a non-agent is not. And it's important to know the difference. Okay.
Exactly. Very good.
All right. Thanks for your question.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So a couple of wrap up things on family reunion before we get to today's topic.
Jen,
Jen had you want to read that?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and thank you for putting this comment here in the chat box, Jen. And it says, my MAPS coach said to definitely catch that breakout that Cindy was referring to. Cindy in the keynote about gratitude and happiness. My coach actually said that yesterday too, Jen. He definitely said that. I believe the speaker's name was Steve Acor. Is that right? Sean Acor.
Okay.
Thank you. Sean Acor. Yes.
Mhm.
The Pathway of Happiness. Yes. So definitely catch that. And Jen says, I can't wait until the recordings are available. Exactly. The vision speech is loaded now. Awesome. So go out there and find the digital recordings on these things. They said it was excellent, and my coach was raving about it. He also talked about Gary Keller's market update, going out there, and how Gary is not foreseeing much change over the next year, but guess what? We have imminent war possibly going on in Europe. So keep your eyes and ears open to that as well, which could definitely have some impact on the real estate market. So catch those items.
All right. Well, thank
Very
you.
good.
All right. And thank you again, all of you who have given us some of your thoughts and feedback from Family Reunion. Again, just a little bit of a tech reminder. Embrace the resources that are available. Learn how to do your SMART plans, and give yourself a break when it comes to keeping up with your databases there. All right, so today's topic, we are going to be talking about competitor strategies that we are hearing about or discovering. And there's one in particular that I was able to get some detail on that I wanted to share with you for your awareness, for an opportunity for discussion with your clients, some things that people are up to, because again, it's a tough market and they are really trying and scrambling and coming up with out of the box ideas to get business. And there's one particular company who is doing this strategy that we're going to talk about today. So what their strategy is they are offering homeowners actual cash. These are not loans. They're offering them cash payments. Okay. Now, for the obligation to use their company as their listing firm if they ever decide to sell in the future. Okay. This company, this is their whole model, and they are going out and getting countless homeowners to go and sign these contracts, which will obligate them to use their company if they ever decide to sell in the future, up to 40 years. And what amazes me is that people are signing these because they're taking this upfront money. They're offering typically somewhere between $500 to $5,000 to these homeowners, and they're basing it on the current value of their home and the future value of a guaranteed listing. Okay, now we're not here to talk about or break apart their business plan. What we're here to talk about, though, is that if they are getting homeowners to take these payments now and sign away their rights to list with whoever they wish, they have to list with their company in the future. What that does is that, of course, is pulling away from your pool of future clients. And so there's some things that we want to make you aware of, such as the fact that they are taking these agreements and they're recording them against the properties. And so you as agents, you're going to want to check to find out if any such agreement is recorded against potential properties that you might be looking to list in your business. And this company started back in 2018. So they've been doing this for about 3 to 4 years. They have expanded into North Carolina. They are practicing in North Carolina right now as of the past year and a half. And so this is near in our area and potentially impacting and affecting your possible clients or listing pools, not just now, but also in the future. Okay, so I wanted to tell you about this one strategy. You're already familiar with Open Door and the other iBuyer companies and strategies out there. And I wanted to ask you all about what else are you discovering or hearing about when it comes to strategies to be aware of and things to warn potential clients about. So first of all, any questions about that one for me? And then what else are you all hearing about?
I have a question about the one you mentioned. This might be a question, but I'm just thinking, like, if there were, where would we find, if there's an agreement recorded, like, how would we look that up how would we look that up? Because you can't look up by address on the Register of Deeds or anything, can you?
You can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Never mind.
You can look up
by address. So if you have a potential property that you're thinking about listing, you would go to the Register of Deeds and just look at anything recorded against that property. So like you do want to do the search for all documents, because it's not a deed. You know, typically we just go specifically look for deeds. It's not a deed. And it's not a lien. It's not a loan. It's just a contractual agreement that they have to list with that particular firm.
Huh? Wait, hold on. So we don't look it up. We do look it up on the Register of Deeds, or we don't? Sorry.
Look it up on the Register of Deeds, but it's not a deed or a lien. So you want to look at just the general documents that are recorded against the property.
Where do you go to search?
Where do you go to search for that? Yeah, sorry for the address. I'm on it and I see no name, nowhere to search for.
County? It depends on the county. We might have to do this offline so that we can help you in your county. What county were you looking in, by the way?
I just pulled up the Alamance County Register of Deeds.
Okay, so I can look into the specifics for that county, because you know we cover, our market center covers 35 counties, right? Okay.
All of Carolina, basically.
Yeah.
Natalie's confused. Yeah, this whole thing, Natalie, with these companies coming in here. But here's what, as Tiffany mentioned, we're not here to really break apart or pick apart their plan, their business plan or what they're doing. But what I do admire about these iBuyers and this particular company, what I do admire is that they really are thinking out of the box. Regardless of whether we like it or not, they are really brainstorming and masterminding ways to get listings and to do business in today's climate. Back in the day, there was no technology, you know, there was no internet, there was no all of this stuff. I mean, I guess there was MLSs, but the listing agent showed their properties a lot of the time. So it wasn't like it is today. Well, they're taking this technology and what's available today, and they are using it to their advantage, regardless of whether we like it or not. So what can we do? And I admire that. I appreciate the fact that they are. But what can we do to combat this and make sure that they are not taking away, especially in the future, the listings in our business? And a lot of times these are people who, and agents and businesses that are coming in from other states, from out of town, and they're coming in and they're affecting the local agent. What can we do about that? What can we do? I don't know what to do. I'm kind of in that mindset as well. What do you do if, and suppose, Amy, you brought up a good question. How do we find this? Suppose it's a county that does not have this information online. And so we don't see it. And we go in there and maybe say, let's play it out. Say they list with this company or they sign these forms, this contract, and they took $2,500 up front to say, we'll list with you 10 years from now when all of the kids are out of the house. Okay, let's say that. Now, and say they forgot about it. And we go in for a listing presentation. They forgot that they've signed this. For heaven's sake, it was 10 years ago. They forgot they signed it. And so now we're listing the property and they've forgotten they've signed it. We taken a listing agreement. There's a sign in the yard. I don't know. The attorney pulls title search and lo and behold, they find this document. How would that make you as an agent feel? I mean, what do we do in that scenario? And how can we combat that? I know this is new. This is new information that we're all hearing here for the first time, possibly. But what do we do? And these are things we have to start thinking about because it's happening. This company's here in North Carolina. What do we do?
I'm wondering, could we?
Uh-oh, you went mute again.
Yeah, I'm good about that. I'm wondering, like, could we ask for a referral fee since we've done some? I mean, you can ask for anything, right? I mean, they could say no. That's the only thing that I can think of is that may make sense. Otherwise, I mean, it's a contract.
Yeah, yeah. It's legally binding contract that they had and possibly forgotten.
You hear me?
Yeah.
This is Carl. I'm sorry.
Hey, Carl.
The one I would treat it just like, well, my neighbor had a signed contract with me to sell his property, and as I was there cutting up wood with my own tools and case on, he had another Keller Williams agent show up that did a listing appointment with me out in the wood yard doing work. Signed a contract with him, didn't tell me, so I just went to the other KW agent and said, well, you can have it, but I'm getting a 3% referral fee. So what I would do is if this is being filled out at the closing table with the closing attorney, I guess I would call up whoever got the contract and say, hey, I didn't know anything about it. They didn't tell me. Sit here closing. I guess you get a referral fee.
Okay.
You know, offer it that way, and probably a lot of people will just go, okay. Because what are they going to do? I mean, I guess it depends on how much it was. I mean, if it's $500, some people will be like, okay, whatever. But I guess it depends on how much that referral fee is compared to how much they paid to keep it.
Okay. All right. I like that, Carl. That's a possibility there. That's possible. I guess the contract's between the company and the owner, right? So if they have an issue, they got to go after the owner.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking really it doesn't make your contract any less valid. It means that they have had two contracts on this property. So really the seller owes you your commission. You brought them a ready, willing, and able buyer. And there's on that listing agreement, ask if they have full ability to pass over clear title, right? And whether they forgot that or not, they still signed a contract saying that they could.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but that's bad business. Like Open Door doesn't scare me. You know, I mean, the iBuyers don't, but this is, ooh.
Yeah.
Teresa,
Yes.
Teresa, is there any way that we can get a copy of what they're signing? I think that needs to go to our legal department.
Of course, this one tried.
You know, I was trying to do that, you guys. I was trying as I was getting as much information as I could, but of course it's proprietary and they would not share a copy without you being an agent with their company.
Mm-hmm.
So what if the person that signed the agreement is deceased? It goes in.
That's a good question, Margaret.
That's
good. From my understanding, the right to sell the property that was granted by that person, even if they're deceased, the right to sell the property, it would be binding on heirs and assigns for up to 40 years. So that is a good question. So thank you for asking that. And that's why it's recorded against the property in the event that the original people who entered into that contract do pass away over that period, that 40-year period.
Good question, Margaret. So bonding upon the heirs.
Yeah.
Wow.
So my hope, I haven't heard any of you guys say it. My hope is that you will immediately begin to contact your database. You have this information now, and just say, I've been informed lately that there's this company out here doing this, and we want to talk about some things to prepare or protect yourself from, and including being bound to some arbitrary agent that you don't know or have a relationship with, that you would have to use at some point in the future, or your heirs or assigns would have to use in the future to transfer your property. So this is going to potentially take away their right to choose, and they would be stuck with whatever agent is assigned, whoever is servicing the property when they decide to sell 20 or 30 or 40 years in the future, or even 2 or 5, whenever they decide to sell. But make people aware of what's happening and what's going on. And, you know, the bottom line of it being bound for 40 years, I think that is just astronomical. And I can't believe people are signing it at the rate that they are. But people are agreeing, they're signing weekly. The numbers are staggering, and you need to take some sort of action to notify your database, the folks that you care about, the folks that you've been serving all these years, and deal with it up front. Let them know what's happening in this market, in addition to, you know, the crazy sales and everything else that's happening.
Tiffany, what's the website? Do you know?
The website for the offer for the payments. I do have that website. I will look it up and put it in the chat before we end the GYA, because I do need to look that up. Okay.
If one spouse signs and it takes 2 to sell, is it valid?
I didn't hear the question.
Pete was asking, if one spouse signs and it takes 2 to sell, is it valid? So this contract is not to sell, it's to list. It's like an employment agreement. So I don't know. I didn't get a chance to view the contract to see what they have, you know, having these people agree to, other than the fact that they have a right to unilaterally list the property for up to 40 years.
Right. And without seeing their contracts and their forms, it's hard to say. You know, it could be such that, I don't know. It's really hard to say without having the actual forms in front of us. So
I cannot believe the Real Estate Commission does not have a say in this.
Yeah, that's the reason I was really digging into, to try to get as much as I could. And according to what I was able to find, there's nothing illegal about what they're doing, because it's just an agency agreement that they're basically paying upfront money for the right to list later. And because, you know, you guys know how I am a stickler for following the rules and the law, and I could not find a thing wrong with all the information that was presented from a legal standpoint.
Do we know of anybody who's done that? Anybody who's signed one?
Not yet, because if I can find out someone who has, then I can get a copy of their contract. Right?
Exactly. Well, Jen is actually suggesting that maybe the Glidewells try to sell their house with this company, and so we can get a copy of the forms. I'm only kidding. Jen did not use the Glidewells. I slid that in there. But
my Bic is trying to set me up.
For the greater good. For the greater good.
Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff for the greater good.
I will, can I add something?
Absolutely.
When Chris Hurley was the coach in Chapel Hill, one of the golden nuggets that he taught me,
Mhm.
and I'd just like to share that with everyone because I would have never thought of this, but it
Please do.
is smart,
Mhm.
especially if you have clients that are downsizing, to say, hey, while you're changing your paperwork and your will, it is okay to put me in there as your preferred listing agent, so that your family members do not have to worry about all this should something happen to you. It'll be the one thing that they know you've already got set.
Wow, Natalie.
That's good, Nellie. Thank you for
Love it.
sharing that.
I love that.
Well,
Okay.
5 years ago when he told me that, I thought, ooh, that's creepy. But my clients have actually really appreciated the thought.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Thank you so much for saying that here.
What if she dies before the seller dies?
What if who dies?
What if the agent passes before the seller passes?
Well,
Mom's not going nowhere.
there's not a specific agent that is assigned to that seller. It is whomever is servicing that area at the time that they decide to sell.
But I guess Margaret is asking in Natalie's situation.
Oh, and Natalie. Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking of the other
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah,
Okay.
in Natalie's.
Margaret, I think they word it so that I would, like, your agent is your preferred person to call. I don't think it's, obviously, if you're dead, they're going to have to do something else, right?
Right. It would be great if they could put the firm in, but you could switch firms and there you go. So, yeah.
Has any of this information been presented to corporate, the legal department, KW Legal?
That's a really good question, Margaret. I have not had a chance to investigate that yet. I literally had this interview process to find out these details just yesterday. And so it's all very fresh for me finding out. And so that is like one of the next steps on making sure. I would imagine that this company's been around for almost 4 years. So I imagine that they probably know about it, but I want to follow up to make sure.
Maybe they could give us some insight on how to handle it.
Right.
It's been happening in other areas prior to our area, then there's
Right.
got to be somewhere, and somebody said something.
Right. Right. I agree with that. So, yeah.
You know what would be great? When I was in graduate school, I used to be a professional shopper. I worked for a company and they would call me to go shop at apartment communities and then report back. And they paid me like $30 an hour to go shop places. We could, as Keller Williams Central, hire a shopper to shop them.
That's a good idea.
That is interesting.
So let's ask whoever's in charge to pony up a little bit of funds so that we can get a little bit more information from a shopper.
That's good.
Thank you. I thought so.
It's an idea, definitely.
That's a good idea.
I just typed in the website that this company is using to draw in these homeowners. It's www.homeownerbenefit.com. And it explains what they are telling the homeowners about the monies that they are giving them. And then they have this detailed contract, and they actually send a notary to that homeowner's house with their contract and with the check once they have gotten the information about the property, and they have an underwriting in their own company to make sure that that is a property that they would be willing to offer a payout on. And so that's how they go about this process of getting these homeowners to accept cash now for the potential of listing their home. Who's not going to sell their house in the next 40 years? You know, their risk on that is fairly low. Most people tend to sell, you know, within what is the average, 5 to 7. And so it's just a matter of time in their strategy there.
And just think about what's
MV, it's coming up for me, MV Realty, is that correct?
Yes, that
Mhm.
sounds correct.
Mhm.
Yeah, this looks like a lending.
That looks like that.
This is coming up like pay to
Can't hear you, Carl.
cash without taking out a loan. So they are like hiding the fact of getting a loan by buying it. I already can see how I can talk owners out of doing this because it's a dating lending type thing.
Let me tell you, I would not want my family, my parents, or anyone to sign an agreement like this. But if they get a call or somebody's telling them, hey, we'll give you $5,000, and all we're asking is if you ever decide to sell, that you use our company. It sounds harmless, and the benefit is that they're getting that money right now up front. So it's not really that harmful at the time. It doesn't sound bad at all to the homeowner. The problem is really for us as real estate brokers, if there are a lot of people that decide that it's not a bad idea and they could use the cash now, and they decide to sign away their right to choose their agent for the next 40 years.
And you got to think about the time that it's coming in too. This company came about in 2018, and now would be the only time that this would work. This wouldn't have worked 15 years ago, 20 years ago. This is the time where things like this will work. Number one, because people are desperate. A lot of people are not working out there. So there are a lot of desperate people who would jump on $5,000 if somebody handed it to me, and they're thinking, as Tiffany said, it's harmless right now. I'm not selling. I have $5,000 in my pocket and I don't have to do anything for it, and I'm probably not going to sell. Well, they probably are, and they're just not thinking out of desperation. So this wouldn't have worked years ago, but it's working because of the state of where we are as a society and where we are, world events. So it's in technology and all that. So it's right. So I'm not mad at them for coming up with this concept. Not mad as I appreciate the fact that they're thinking out of the box, but I am bothered because I am an agent and a local agent, and I know the harm that it can do to the real estate industry and to the local agent.
So what was that website again?
It is www.homeownerbenefit.com.
Okay, I missed the benefit. Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so Jen has provided some thoughts there. 5,000 is not a small amount, yet I'm amazed it's worth 40 years of commitment would be enticing. Yet I was too, Jen, but let me tell you that the people are signing these things at an alarming rate, enough for me to jump in here and tell you guys about it now. She says it's probably also easier if we're not sharing how much value a dedicated local agent provides. I love the idea about communicating this with our people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, warn people, because they're not really thinking about what that means to them in the future when it's time to list a house. You need someone that you can trust to look out for your best interests instead of whoever's just assigned to you because they're working a territory.
Right.
And so there are some things that you need to point out to people in case they are approached with an offer like this one. Okay. So again, wanted to make you guys aware, immediately as soon as I found out about something like this that we are up against as a profession, And one other thing before we go, because I know we have to head out before Jonathan's tech training. We did want to just say a yay. And you want to do the call out here?
Yes, this is a shout out to our lovely OP, Heather McAndrew. She is number one, first place individual donor to in the Carolinas region to KWKC, to Keller Williams Kid Cares, first place individual donor. She beat out everybody in our region. And I know you all can't see this here, but you may have seen it already. Can you see it? Maybe not. The post on Facebook with Heather in her beautiful 1920s gear is holding her certificate as first place individual donor to Keller Williams Kids Care. So give our OP a wonderful hand and a congratulations. So shout her out on Facebook or send her a text or an email and congratulate her for being and taking first place. I tell you, our
for
region
being
was
so
represented.
generous and
Yep.
looking out for the kids. So it's exciting. We like to celebrate when we have good and positive news as well.
Yes.
So, yep. So just wanted to give Heather a
Yep.
congratulations
Yes.
and keep up that great work and giving back. And like Judy suggested, maybe there's ways that we can give back, something from a closing to our local community or in that fashion as well. So
yeah, and if in case any of y'all missed it before you got on, Judy took a nugget about donating $100 per transaction back to the community as a way of giving back and a way of branding yourself and your business within the community as well.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, any other questions? We didn't get to really open the floor to non-topic related questions today.
Yeah, I
but
want to
we do
know
have-
if can I give someone a $5,000 loan to get a 40-year contract?
Apparently you can, Natalie. Just make sure it's legally drafted and it meets North Carolina law. Yeah.
I mean, isn't that the new model for the flippers?
The new model for the flippers?
Right? If I'm going to make an investment in a property, instead of spending money to buy the property, I'll just buy down the business.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly a model for this company, and that's why I want to tell you all about it. So it's real, it's happening. You know, take the knowledge and combat it the best way that you can.
Exactly.
This company will be broke in 5 years.
I was going to say, Pete, I don't think they'll be around in the 40 years when they have to sell the property. So I tend to agree with you, but we shall see.
Yeah, we can't, you would imagine that they probably would be. It just depends on what kind of follow through that they're getting in returns on these listings.
Well, not everybody's getting 5,000.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a range of like 500 to 5,000. I don't think they're giving everyone, and it depends on the value of the property.
Yeah.
Is the
So,
population.
you had example. One person got 100.
Yeah, but still, it's a lot of money going out with the just the promise of using them in the future, you know.
Well, the homeowner trend is going in the wrong direction for them, because it used to be people averaged 7 to 8 years before they resold their property. Now it's 13.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's going in the wrong direction for them.
Well, that's what it seems like, but we're not here to really dig into their business plan. We're here to tell you about what companies are doing that could impact and affect your business. So yeah, they may not be a problem in 40 years, but they might be a problem for the next 3 to 5 in your particular business. Okay. All right.
Very good.
Well, thank you all so much for attending. We'll have some good news, or hopefully some good news, some good information for you in 2 weeks in our next Glad You Asked. Do we have, no, not yet. Okay. All right. So we're working on something good for you, but we don't have it yet. So we're not going to announce it yet, but make sure you attend in 2 weeks for what's coming up next. We always have something in the works for you all. If you do have any questions, make sure you email those to brokerincharge832@gmail.com. Make sure that you call the Broker in Charge hotline, and we are here for you all. So thank you so much for attending. We are so glad you asked.
Bye, everybody. See you in 2 weeks. Have a great afternoon.